hear from you, so get those comments in.
A very good evening, ladies and gentlemen, Palace fans throughout the world. Welcome to the Red and Blue Review. With me, Ian Noble, your host for this evening. Do please like and follow us across social media. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you're new around here. That's a great help to us. Joining me this evening, I have some company, some usual suspects. Here is Paul Gear, aka the real panel. How are you, Paul? Good evening.
Evening, Ian. Evening, everyone. Yeah, not too bad, thank you. I'm not enjoying this habit of coming on here and talking about another winless weekend, but we'll do it anyway.
You better get used to it, mate, because that's what it is. Another winless weekend for our first team. Good evening, Ferg. 0 points again, LA. Tid, how are you, Fergus?
I'm very well, Ian. I'm much better today than I was yesterday. I was a very angry soul.
You were
yesterday, but yeah. But yes, yeah. We just move forward.
We move forward. You've calmed down a bit. I travelled back with you on the train yesterday to Sussex, and you've calmed down a bit. I can testify to that. A very droll name on there for the pod this evening. And finally, of course, making up the quartet this evening is Mr. James Cannon. Good evening, Jim. How are you, my friend?
I'm very well. Good evening, all.
Good evening.
As already been said, not happy with the result, but it is what it is at the moment.
You've had a bit of a celebration this week, Jim, haven't you?
Yeah, I'll try to keep away from them though.
Happy birthday. When was your birthday? Thursday, something like that, was it?
Wednesday, I think. Wednesday. Yeah.
Here we go. We put that, you won't have seen that, Jim, because we know you don't do social media, but we put that picture out on our Twitter on the week on your birthday, wishing you a happy birthday.
Very nice.
And there's lots of love for you out there, mate.
Could have been Tuesday, I can't remember. It was that long ago.
Still sobering up.
I know it was the second, that's all.
Perfect. Good. Over for another year anyway. That's the main thing. Yeah.
Thank goodness.
All good. Listen, guys. So a poor start to the season for Crystal Palace Football Club. 2 defeats in the opening 2 games of the campaign, of course. We then went on an unbeaten run for 5 games. See the positive spin I put on that. 3 league draws and 2 wins in the Carabao before back-to-back defeats against both the blue and the red halves of Merseyside in successive Saturdays to leave the stats being played 7, won 0, drew 3 and lost 4. -5 is the goal difference. 5 goals scored, 10 against. Not very good at all, and leaves us feeling a little bit bruised going into this second international break of the season. We're going to come to the game shortly, but before we do that, Paul, you and I were talking about the team selection coming back from Everton of the changes that we wanted to see in the next league game, and we sort of predicted, didn't we, what happened yesterday with the team selection by Oliver Glasner?
Yeah, I mean, coming back last week, that we'd seen some issues, obviously, in the team at Everton, and they're probably the 3 changes that I think we certainly wanted to make and see him make, and other people on the train and other fans tended to agree across social media and all sorts of stuff. I mean, I think it was crucial to put Nketiah in his rightful position up front. I thought that was good. And I think I've said last week, I think Mateta probably needs a rest at the moment. I like Mateta, but we need something different. We can't keep trying the same thing. We're not getting goals. We're not getting wins. So I think it was good to freshen it up and give Sarr a chance. That is a bit more pace. And I think while Walton's not 100% fit, I think he needs a bit of a more mobile, stronger midfielder with him in the middle. And Lerma, I thought, had a very good game yesterday. So he did well there. And obviously Chalobah, now he's fit, with Richards dropping out, was a natural bring into the centre-back place. So it was pretty much, I think, when I saw the team, I was reasonably happy that was the team I would pick. Not that matters, but a lot of people would be happy with. But instead, going back to the defence, it was quite interesting Chalobah making his debut because I think it's you were discussing earlier, and it's a stat that our back 3 has changed for every single game this season. So it was our 7th.
Yeah, let's get that up if we can, Nigel. Yeah, so there we are. So yeah, you're right, Paul. I got this from The Athletic. Palace's defensive combination, this is the back 3, has changed in every single game this season. They're the first 6 games, and of course yesterday, Paul, the back 3 was.
Yeah, so obviously Gahey in the middle again, and Lacroix, who's obviously been brought in to be a first-team player there, and obviously Chalobah. So with Richards out and Lerma obviously going back into midfielder, Chalobah was deemed fit enough to get his first start, and obviously he's not played for a while. So It was interesting to see how he was going to do. We can come on to his performance in a bit. But, yeah, I mean, going forward, that's going to be our first choice back three for a few weeks, hopefully. And hopefully we can get a bit more stability in there and try and get some sort of rhythm with them.
Certainly. Now, Jim, you famously played centre-back for this football club for many years. How important is it that the guys playing in that centre of defence know each other and know each other's game?
Yeah, well, it's like when you dovetail two forwards or two midfield players, it's an important position that you're all on the same, especially if you try to play offsides and pushing up from the back. You've all got to do it together. If you're changing the team every week, like the back three every week, that's been happening, it's very difficult to get any little cohesion between three players because somebody wants to drop off, somebody wants to push on. Yeah, I mean, like last season, I think we had Klein, Anderson, and Richards, and they played the last 8-9 games before Gay got fit for the second last game, and everything just flowed. Everybody knew what they're doing, and especially like the wing backs. You know, they've got a guy on the left or on the right that as soon as he gets the ball, whacks them in, and so they know the position they take up. Now, like a few times, if you watch, maybe not this week, the week before, Lacroix sort of try to find Mitchell. Now, is Mitchell not in the right position, or is he too far up? And Lacroix just knocked the ball into the stand a few times. So I think it's important, not just for the three, but the two wide men as well, that they dovetail together because they're like attacking fullbacks. So everybody's got to know what they're going to do. And it doesn't help, you know, at the moment. It's not helping at all. But then the team's changing all the time, not just the back three.
It's a more modern thing, isn't it? A back three or a back five, you know, depending on whether you're defending or going forward. In your day, did you play in a back three or a back five, or was it always a back four?
Well, when Malcolm Allison came, we changed it to a back three. I played left wing back for a season and a half. It's not a hard thing to do, but you've all got to be on the same wavelength, you know. But it was different from us because when we played it, the three centre halves at the back, two of them would split and become full backs, and the wing backs would push on. It's totally different now. The two wide centre halves come back into the 6-yard box to get the ball, which I've never quite understood. I've never understood why somebody like Pep Guardiola can do that because he's got the best players in the world. And every other team that's got players that can't pass the ball 10 yards are all trying it. And it's good for people because they get caught for opposing teams because they're getting caught on the ball. And so, but yeah, I played wing back, and the three at the back is much better, especially if you've got three competent centre halves that are good on the ball. Then why not play it? And teams don't play with three up front anymore or two up front.
Have we missed Anderson, Paul Gear?
Yeah.
I think we've missed his leadership.
Sorry,
Jim. You know better than me, Jim. No, we've missed his leadership, we've missed his organisation, and we've missed his distribution. To be honest, his passing was very good. I think people will grow into replacing him longer term, but certainly at the moment he would be walking into this defence. Yeah,
definitely. And you'd concur with that, Jim, would you?
Yeah, I mean he had a lot of composure, and he was hard. You know, if there was anything going on, he was in there. He didn't stand for any nonsense when the centre forwards come up against him. And he had that ability to knock that ball 40, 50, 60 yards from the right-hand side to the left-hand side, which we've lost. And the way teams playing, there's quite a lot of room there. But Eze don't go out wide anymore. He seems to come in the middle. So,
Okay, look, let's get on to the game. Fergus, let's get the team up, Nigel, if we can. We didn't have that up early. Fergus, Paul's already talked about it, but you happy with the team selection yesterday before you get into the game itself?
I think so, yeah. I think social media were weak after the Everton game. This is the team that everybody wanted to see. They wanted to see Star start.
Okay.
So and Mateta dropped to the bench. So yeah, I think really positive attacking side. You know, Liverpool had played on the Wednesday, so obviously we were hoping they were going to be a bit leggy. I don't think it turned out that way. Certainly not first half. Maybe they tired towards the second, but
Well, we almost got off to the perfect start, Fergus, didn't we?
We did. Yeah. So what was it? 28 seconds or something. And we all know Walton's been off his game, but quality pass through. And there's Sarr. He's just about to cross it. And unfortunately, Nketiah's, that you can just see, he's a yard or two offside.
Yeah.
It's a good finish. Pretty much until the 45th minute, this was all we really did in the first half. It was just watching Liverpool pass the ball around, and our midfield was non-existent. But yeah, it was a shame it was offside. Could have been a perfect start. You know, it's what you need to do against the Liverpool team, isn't it? It's to put them on the back foot. They're going to have to come out then and try and equalise, and that plays into our hands because we're more of a counter-attacking side. So yeah, it's unfortunate.
So why do you think Nketiah made his run too soon? Was it too early in the game? You know, had it been 5-10 minutes into the game, do you think it would have held his run more, or doesn't it make a difference?
No, I don't think so. He was just slanting forward, and some of them are so keen to get in there. I mean, he must have known that he was in front of the two centre halves, but the player he's looking at is the fullback, the left fullback that's trying to stop. So he should have taken his run off him, you know. But he's obviously there too early, and it's one of them things. It was a shame because it was a nice little move.
It was, and so you're saying, Fergus, that was the highlight of our first half. Apart from you'll come to the next bit in the second at the end.
Well, yeah, I mean, there wasn't really much to talk about from us, was there? And we can talk about the Liverpool goal on 9 minutes. Is it Tsimikas passed it? I don't know what Munoz was sort of. He was caught between the two, wasn't he? And he was. I'm going to go out to the wing. No, I'm not. And unfortunately, by the time he thought about that, the ball had gone past him. And Gakpo was in there
as well. I think we got
perfect cross. The frustrating thing for me is that Chalobah had at least 2 or 3 yards on Jota, but I don't know why Jota just wanted the ball more. I think Chalobah was waiting for the ball to come to him, and Jota just nicked in there, and it was close range. Henderson didn't have a chance of saving it. Bit frustrating, and then. So early on in the game, you're thinking, "Oh my God, this could be a cricket score."
Well, it wasn't a cricket score. Why do you think that Liverpool didn't go further in front in the first half? Because they had chances to, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. I mean, well, we'll look at stats at the end of the game, but they had lots and lots of possession. They had lots and lots of shots, not many on target. I think they had 4 on target the whole game. And I was saying to the guy sat next to me, I was going, although they're dominating the game, you know, we can't get the ball off them. Henderson didn't have a lot to do in that first half. That was the frustrating thing. For all their possession, they didn't really create much. I just think our midfield was one, we gave Liverpool too much respect, I think, and secondly, I think. On midfield, and we can come on to it later. I just think Lerma had a good game, but Walton and Lerma, he's carrying this injury. It's not himself, and I think bringing Hughes on when we did made a massive difference. Massive difference.
No, before we get into anything else, I felt we gave the ball away too much and too easily, too cheaply. We weren't finding our passes. I remember Mark Gahey was coming out with the ball and he passed it, like directly ahead to the midfield player who had his back to our goal, and he didn't get there in time. Paul, would you go along with this?
The last few weeks we've been saying they're looking very lax and very casual, I think it's got a lot of its confidence. There was a free kick we had in the first half when they rolled it to Walton, who was obviously going to try and play it back to him down the wing and just kicked it straight off for a goal kick. And there's a lot of basic things. Everton's second half last week, they were passing to blue shirts, not yellow shirts. And I think the confidence has got to get up on it. But we can't keep giving these teams the ball back to them this easily. It's just making our lives very difficult.
Yeah, I was saying again, it's frustrating because I asked, what do they do in training? Because our ball retention is so poor. It's almost like teams know they just need to put a little bit of high press on us. And it's just a matter of time, 2-3 passes, and they'll have the ball back. They don't even have to tackle. But that's been a problem under any manager with Palace. It's just the inherent thing with the club. It's just, I don't know what we do to fix it.
It wasn't
the answer to that.
Yeah, it wasn't happening at the end of last season, and that's because we have movement up front. The three guys up front at the moment are very static, and it doesn't give the midfield anywhere to pass to. And that is a big problem because they get the ball and they don't know what to do, and then they're under more pressure by definition. And yeah, they'll give away a hard attempt. Last year, we had, at the end of the season, we had a making moves to play the ball into, and Eze was obviously playing a bit more mobile as well. So I think that's a bit of a problem for us at the moment, not having options.
I mean, who is our? I mean, set pieces. Someone said in the chat, our set pieces are as normal, disastrous. Who's our set piece coach? Is it Dean Kiley? Do we know? Is he in charge of that?
He wasn't he?
Yeah,
I don't think he won't be in charge of set pieces.
No, okay.
He's a goalkeeping coach, and Glasner will have him as a goalkeeping coach. There's 2 or 3 other guys there, and one of them must be a coach of something. So,
we need to improve both defensively and offensively when it comes to set pieces for sure. Munoz got injured and went off on 17 minutes. I'm not sure what his injury is, but did we miss Daniel Munoz? Do you think in that game yesterday, and are we going to miss him going forward if he's out for a period?
Definitely.
Even just for his energy, he's infectious, and hopefully we'll get the team going. It's like as we said when Hughes came on, it made a big difference because he gets his foot stuck in, he's chasing around, and he gets the rest of the team going. So yeah, Munoz, Klein is an able replacement. He's not as good as Munoz, obviously, but he can do the job. But we will certainly miss Munoz around the pitch.
I just think if we're going to play that system with the wing backs, Mitchell had probably his worst game of the season yesterday, and Munoz is injured. So where does that leave us then with that formation? Who comes in?
Okay, well, I think we'll come to that a little bit later. Let's carry on with the game, Ferg, if we can. You mentioned at the top there, the other highlight of our first half was right on half time, wasn't it? When Sarr got a shot away.
He got shot away. Keeper pulled off a really good save, and he just managed to recover the ball just as Nketiah was coming in. I think that was on 46 minutes. If that had gone in, going in at half time, 1-1, especially after the half that we'd had, probably a little bit undeserved, but we'll take it. I thought Sarr had a decent game yesterday. He got moved around, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
In the second half. But I thought we had a good game.
Okay, let's go on to the second half then, because we did improve, I thought, in the second period.
Yes, we did. I think the improvement came about on the 60th minute when we made those substitutions. Now, our 2 players, our 2 worst players, I thought, yesterday were Wharton and Mitchell. And it was fantastic to see Glasner make that difficult decision because Wharton is one of our best players, but he wasn't having a good game. Took him off and took Mitchell off as well because every time he went past that halfway line, his brain scrambled. He couldn't pass it. He couldn't cross it. He didn't know what to do. And obviously Glasner's been watching that and thinking, like, I need to yank these 2. Hughes come on and the energy, and it was almost like the whole team saw that energy and thought, right, if Hughes can do it, that's, he lifted the mood of the team.
He did, didn't he? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Jim, would you like to see maybe Will Hughes start yesterday, and you agreeing with Fergus about his energy that he brought in the second half?
Yeah, I wrote a little bit down about him, and it was energy, enthusiasm, and tackling. He's a little bit like Conor Gallagher in the way he goes about things. He gets on his bike and he closes people down. And it does. It spreads a little bit because it lifts players. And more importantly, it lifts the crowd. Because the crowd against Manchester United and yesterday are a lot quieter than they have been. Maybe they're not quite sure of what they're seeing after the end of last season. But yeah, I thought that was the good thing about Glasner. He's happy to change. I mean, he changed the team this week, which I think most of us agreed that we needed to see different players. And especially, I've had comments from people, he's playing Kamada because he had him before and he's his boy. No, the guy will change it. And he changes it when it's not going right. And he don't leave it like Roy used to leave it to the last 10 minutes to change things.
Yeah.
You've got to give people 20, 30 minutes to do anything in games like this. So, Hughes he drove things on and things changed. Our passing got a bit better. I mean, you talked about the passing earlier on. It's not so much we're being closed down. It's just we're picking the wrong balls all the time. And a lot of times now we're trying to thread the perfect ball rather than pass another one or another two, and then it opens up. We're trying to do it, and things are getting cut. And you can't keep, against a team like Liverpool, you can't keep giving them the ball back. But one thing, I mean, the first half of our game Saturday was far better than the first half against Manchester United. And Liverpool are 10 times better than Manchester United will ever be. Their movement, I mean, we're taken away from how good they were with their movement, the positions they took up. And I think they just confused our players. They didn't know where to go in. They didn't know where to come out. So although it was not a great first half, they had a couple of shots at goal. So we worked hard after giving the ball away. But you can't sort of just say we were bad. Liverpool were exceptional. In their
they're top of the league for a reason. They lost to Oakland Forest 1-0. They've won every other game. They've conceded just 2 goals all season. They're there for a reason, aren't they? So I think from that point of view, I agree with you totally, Jim. We've lost to a very good side yesterday, so we can't beat ourselves up too much.
And aside that time wasted for the last 10 minutes, because they were desperate to beat us.
And I think you talk about the substitutions on the hour mark. Mitchell goes off, replaced by Jean-Philippe Mateta. Walton goes off, replaced by Will Hughes. Will Hughes' energy was great, but Mateta played really well, I thought, yesterday. And Glasner was full of praise for him in his post-match, full of praise for him, saying he dealt with the fact that he'd been dropped to the bench well. When he did come on, he was unselfish. He played the right pass. Twice he paid in Eze, who had shots on goal. It's both saved by the goalkeeper. We can come to the rights and wrongs of his shooting ability later, if you like. And I think there was another one as well. He played Nketiah in, didn't he, as well? Similarly on the edge of the box.
Yeah.
So there were 3 chances we had then. 3 arguably big chances to get back in the game. Sorry, have I stolen your thunder there, Fergus?
You have, yeah. So I was just looking at so the Nketiah chance, and again, it's just Hughes winning the ball back, and he fed Lerma. He passed it to Mateta, and then Mateta crosses Nketiah, and he shoots straight at the goalkeeper. And then there was a Eze chance. Again, Hughes picked the ball up in his own half. He ran 30 yards. The ball bobbled a little bit. He was a bit fortunate. It came back to him, but it was deflected through. And then Mateta, laid it off for Eze to shoot outside the box. And that was straight at the keeper, and he palmed it away for the corner. And I think that corner was where all the controversy really started for Palace, because it was from that corner, as Hughes took that short corner and Eze crossed it. And we were watching Chalobah at the back post, and he's done that sort of like flick, and the goalkeeper's punched it away. But at the same time, Van Dijk is pulling Mark Gee back.
Yeah,
quite clearly, 2 hands on his wrist. Penalty.
I think from that's still there. Sorry to cut across you. That's still there. You look at that picture. Sorry if you're listening to this on a podcast. It's not going to make a lot of sense. But there's better spot the ball there, isn't there? If you took the ball out, you wouldn't know where it was. Spot the ball. Remember that in the newspapers. Anyway, I digress. If you look at that still, that looks as if Gay could get his head on it, doesn't he? From there.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if anybody knew that it had gone to VAR. It wasn't until they put the message up on the screen that I realised, because I was watching Chalobah, the keeper made a good save.
First I knew of it really was when Gahey was remonstrating with the ref. The Gahey was very vociferous, and you don't see that in him very often. He's not that kind of guy that gets in the face of the referee, but he was on the edge of the box in his face, complaining about the fact that he'd been pulled back in the box. but nothing given. Before we get into anything else and carry on, we'd probably nearly done anyway. Keith Hackett, who is quite respected former referee, he has something to say about this, didn't he? I think. Keith Hackett, decision not to award Crystal Palace a penalty against Liverpool was utter garbage, he said. I know that quite a few people have had their say on this, but I'm just going to read you a little bit about what he wrote in the Telegraph, if I may. So just bear with me. He says, of course, referees will miss things, and therefore Simon Hooper is not entirely to blame, despite being at fault for making the initial mistake. But for the VAR not to intervene was frankly pathetic. The whole point of VAR is to correct mistakes, not to ignore them for the sake of convenience or some other unknown reason. He goes on to say the referee's call of no penalty for the challenge by Van Dijk on Guehi is checked and confirmed by VAR, deeming that the challenge was not sustained, holding, and had no impact on play. That was a statement from the Premier League. Now we've got a couple of tweets, Nigel, I think, haven't we, that went out on Twitter yesterday. So this is the one I've just read the top one to you. There you go. That was put out on their Twitter feed, and then less than 4 hours later, when the late kickoff happened, Everton Newcastle, the referee's call of no penalty for the challenge by Tarkowski on Tonali is checked by VAR, who recommended non-field review, deeming that this was a non-footballing action. Well, someone explain to me the difference between those two things, because for the life of me, I can't see it. Anybody?
Well, the second one, they're basically saying it was a rugby tackle, it was a wrestling throw, whereas obviously ours was a foul with a pullback. The bit that annoys me more than anything else is this no impact on play. I mean, this is a rule they've obviously just made up on the spot. There's never been a rule about if you can't have a foul if it's not impacting on play. Otherwise, there would never be any off the ball fouls given. I mean, if you look at our goal against Brentford on the opening day of the season, Will Hughes has supposedly fouled someone in the D on the penalty box, and Eze's curled it into the top corner, and the ball's always 20 yards away from any other player. So surely that's not impacting on play. The Everton penalty last night, the guy's hit the shot into the stand. It's not nothing, is it? So how they've come up with that is just ludicrous. And they can say Gay's not going to get the ball. Well, if Gay is not going to get the ball, then Van Dijk would just leave him alone. He's not going to pull him. The reason he pulls him is because he thinks he might have some impact on the play. So it's a ludicrous excuse. It feels just like right, we can't give this against Liverpool. Let's come up with a reason why we can't.
Jim, what do you think, referees?
You don't really want me to talk about referees, do you?
I was joking. Yeah, I mean, in all seriousness, though, it didn't make sense. And then he went on a little spree. He thought it was Christmas. He was handing out so many cards to Palace players, did he? 4 cards in 5 minutes.
I think there was probably a lot said about the penalty, and then we had the incident with Sarr, didn't we? When Tsimikas jumped on his back to win a header.
Was that
Lerma? Sorry, Lerma. It was Lerma. Yeah, sorry, it was Lerma. And and then did a forward roll and landed on his neck. And the linesman's flagged. He gave a free kick to Liverpool and booked Lerma for it. Lerma hadn't moved.
No, I don't think
he just stood his ground. He did, yeah. I think he booked him. Yeah, he did. He did book him.
He definitely
71 minutes.
He definitely booked Sarr as well for telling him.
Because Sarr simulated, didn't he? A yellow card. So
so he got.
Yeah, you're right. Lerma got booked on 71. Yeah. But he didn't even jump. He just turned his back and stood there. He planted his feet and stood there. I don't think it was even a foul. Yeah. It's not like Harry Kane used to do and back into people. He just stood there. So how's that a foul?
Well, it's not. But it's this inconsistency, isn't it? You know,
and it was a linesman that gave it. I mean, beyond me. Anyway, 4 players booked in 5 minutes, no penalty, still 1-0 down. Anything else to pull out from that second half, Fergus?
Well, there was a couple of more chances, right there. There was the Eze chance, and this is what frustrates me about Eze is that Mateta laid the ball off, and he's got this habit of opening his body and shaping to curl one. He almost telegraphs where he's going to put it for the keeper. Makes it easy, and he just hits it straight at their substitute goalkeeper, didn't they? Because Alisson went off injured.
Yeah.
It was I mean, he's got to do better than that. He's got to finish that. And I bet Mateta was a bit frustrated that he thought, well, I could have had a shot, and I've been unselfish, laid it off. But on the other side of it, Nketiah was to his right. So I'm just wondering whether he picked the right pass. If he just laid it off to the right, Nketiah was closer to the goal. So frustrating. Another chance goes begging.
Well, our friend Tim Richards says, question for us this evening, is Eze turning in to be the South London Rashford? Strange question, but what do we think? Do you think Eze's overhyped? Is there too much pressure on him as our talisman? Paul Gear.
I don't think he's overhyped. He's like a lot of the players. He's not playing well at the moment. He's low on confidence. He won't have helped that he's been dropped from the England squad. That may have affected him. I was kind of hoping that would sort of kick him into gear a bit and he might try something. But we said last week, and particularly I think when you're low in confidence, Jim would obviously be able to confirm this more as a professional footballer. But I said last week the Man United game, he's trying to be too precise with his finishes. When you're flying and everything you're doing is working, you can do that, and they all fly into the top corner. When it's not going so well, I think sometimes you just got to put your foot through it. And I think while he needs this goal, it would be better to just to power it like he did the first shot, or whatever, just something different. Because as Fergus says, it's sometimes a bit obvious what he's going to do. But yeah, I don't think he's overhyped. I just think he's just in an unconfident run and in an out of form team.
Jim,
he's also a player that's overmarked. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's come to you, Fergus. Then we'll come to Jim next. So, your view then, Fergus, on.
I just think at the moment, if Mateta's not playing, and Elise's not there anymore, it's just too easy for teams to, we just need to mark Eze, and then it shuts Palace down. And Wharton's not on form, so it renders us toothless up front.
Okay,
and that's why we're not creating so many chances. Although second half, we've got Nketiah, Mateta, and Eze on the park. I
don't think Eze played that badly yesterday. I mean, maybe I'm in the minority, but I think he was a bit unfortunate. The second one you're talking about there, I thought he hit it really well, albeit a nice height for the goalkeeper, but he definitely put his laces through it, and he was well on target. The other one was less good, the earlier one. The first half we didn't talk about. He put a ball into the box, lovely, delicious ball into the box a couple of times. He got away from somebody. Who was it? Someone pulled him back and got a yellow card for their troubles. So he was doing some of that things, right? Yeah. So the guy, I just think maybe he just needs another goal. He got the goal at Chelsea, but he needs another goal, and he needs something to kickstart his season again. Jim, what's your thoughts on Eze? Does he need a rest or what?
No, I don't think we can afford to rest him. He's the bottom line is he's our best player. It's like people used to say, leave Wilf out, but he was the only one that was scoring goals at the time. So I think there's probably too much or a lot of expectation on his shoulders now that Elise is not there. Going back to his shot, he opens himself up because that's what all footballers do in that position. But I would have thought then, because the keeper's thinking that's going to that corner, and he's done it on loads of occasions, he's just pulled it back into the near post. I think it was just the wrong choice. I think he's playing a little bit, he's giving the ball away a little bit more than normal because he's probably trying too much. And he's not got the players around him that are playing with a lot of confidence. Mm-hmm. And I don't think he's probably playing with as much confidence as he's got. And he's got a habit as well. When he gets the ball, when he starts running, he wants to check back. There was a time in the first half, he was about 2 yards in front of the player, going down the left-hand side in their half. And I'm thinking, just keep going for the space.
Yeah.
And he does it. He's such a silky player, and he does it and he comes inside. But I'd rather he be up in the last field of the park doing that. But I think he just needs a bit. I think the whole team are lacking a little bit of confidence. It's going to happen. You've not won. It's not so much, you said earlier on, it's not that we're not playing well, but when you're not winning after 7 games, you start thinking, where's this win going to come from? And when you look at the games coming up, there's not one easy game. It doesn't matter who you're playing. They're not easy. And when you haven't won, like Nottingham Forest, that's probably an even harder game because you've not won one game. But we're not playing bad, so it's not something I'm really worried about at the moment. But it is a little bit of lack of confidence probably with everybody, and a lot of changes for whatever reasons, injuries, and we have definitely got an unsettled team at the moment.
Yeah, we have, absolutely. You can't predict the first 11 choice at the moment. Fergus.
Yeah, sorry, I was just going to say and he's probably done it many a time, but it's the first time yesterday I saw Guy calling the players over and giving them orders, and which is when we touched on it earlier about leadership. We need more of that. When that goal went in, you could see he was frustrated. He was talking to players. He was telling them where he thinks they should be and what they need to do. And
well, I like that. I like that.
We need that.
Yeah, we haven't got that leader on the pitch at the moment, but Mark Gay, he needs to be that leader. I think he needs to assume responsibility as captain, and in his position as the central defender. He's an England international now, an established England international. You expect him to play for England, not just get in the squad. He does need to step up and take that responsibility. And I'm just wondering whether, without Anderson next to him, he's feeling that extra responsibility, which is affecting his own game, because we've seen him play badly this season as well. I'm not saying yesterday, but other times this season he's given the ball away and not been quite himself as we would have expected. So we finished the game. Anything else to add, Fergus, before I wrap this up?
No, I don't think so. I think that was it. Just the time wasting at the end, really.
Hughes, he had a volley, didn't he? He put it wide, which wasn't a bad effort, I suppose. Off target. Yeah. So we finished the game, and as you say, sort of backhanded compliment. Liverpool couldn't waste enough time. They wasted time left, right, and centre. With the referee seemingly ignoring it. Paul Gear, you made a comment about this earlier, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, as I say, I'm a firm conspiracy theorist at the best of times, but when I saw Simon Hooper was our ref, I did panic a little bit, because I've panicked most weeks when we see who's reffing us, because they're all pretty useless. But I seem to recall he was the ref last year, got a load of trouble for disallowing their goal when Darren England didn't help him out and said a perfectly onside goal was wrong. And I get the impression Simon Hooper will never want to upset Liverpool ever again. So I was expecting a sort of performance of that magnitude. And it's quite funny, because if you read any of the Liverpool fans' views of this, they could not believe how biased he was against them. And obviously, from our side, we think similar. So it's amazing how the football fan view does colour judgment.
Yeah, absolutely. We see things so differently, don't we, from opposing fans? It's quite ridiculous some of the time. But that's football. That's what makes it interesting. It's a game about opinions, and each of us have got our own opinions, and sometimes people agree with us and sometimes they don't. And Fergus, do you want to just finish up on these stats for us? Sort of as expected,
Yeah, it was. Yeah, so obviously Liverpool dominated possession. Plenty of shots, 16 to our 9, but only 4 on target for Liverpool and 5 for us. Mm-hmm. A lot more corners. I think most of them were in the first half. Twice as many passes completed. Conceded 15 free kicks to their 7, and 1 offside, and we all know what that was.
Yeah, sure.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, when you play Liverpool, you expect to have about 30% possession, don't you? I've seen it lower than that previously, but
I think you expect to be playing against 12 men as well. Realistically, don't we? We know every time we play a team,
it gets tougher and tougher. It gets tougher and tougher against these big sides. But we've played a few of them now. We've played Liverpool, played United, played Chelsea. We've got a few more coming up, obviously, in the weeks ahead, which we'll come to a little bit later. So, look, thank you for that. It's good to reflect. It's good to look back, but obviously we've got to look forward as well, and hope that the fortunes will change as we come back after this international break. As it's customary on this show, just to talk about the other sides at the football club. So I've got some information since our last show on Monday, the 30th of September. The under-21s played in Premier League 2, Division 1 at the VBS Community Stadium, and they beat Nottingham Forest 2-1. But not such good news yesterday. Same competition, away to Brighton, 10-0. Apparently, Solly March played 25 minutes for Brighton's under-21s yesterday. 10-0. Any other side, and you wouldn't mind so much, would you? But Brighton, for crying out loud. The under-18s, they didn't fare much better. They lost at the training ground yesterday, I think, to Liverpool 5-2. So a double for Liverpool over us this weekend. But better news for our women. First of all, earlier in the week, they lost in a cup match to Aston Villa. That was played at the Bescot. Presumably that's Walsall's ground. So they lost in the cup. But this afternoon, they got their first win in the Women's Super League, a 2-0 win away at the King Power Stadium over Leicester City. So well done, ladies. Who'd have thought that their first win would come before the men's first win in the league this season? Not many people would have done. So that's how the other sides have done around the club this weekend since we last got together. On this show last week, we had our friend Yasmin Brew. She was on the panel last week, and she is doing next Saturday. She's doing the Marathon March. We've got some information here, Nigel, I think, to put on the screen. So that's Yasmin's Just Giving page. If you go onto if you got your phone out, you can. If you're watching this, you can just screenshot that. And then you've got a direct link to the Just Giving page with that QR code. And ignore the target on there. She's given herself a very low target. She's already exceeded it, which is great. But I know it's a real struggle for anyone. I wouldn't do it. But I know she's not necessarily looking forward to it too much. And I know she's watching. So, Yaz, from all of us at the Red and Blue Review, we wish you all the success next Saturday, the 12th of October, as you do the Marathon March. And hopefully raise a lot of money for Palace for Life. And so if you haven't given yet, guys, just pop onto our Just Giving page and give what you can. That will be much appreciated. Guys, what's happening with the loan watch? Have you been following the other players that out on loan for Crystal Palace? Paul, you've been following them or not?
I don't, not majorly. I saw that Jez scored a couple of goals for Sheffield yesterday.
He did.
Nice goals, so he's doing well there. Joe Whitworth apparently had an excellent game. I think he's kept 4 clean sheets in a row and is getting rave reviews at Exeter. But other than that, it's I'm not seeing too many of them, to be honest. Not making too many headlines.
Well, you picked out 2 really good ones there. First of all, Jez Raksaki. He was involved in our pre-season quite a bit. He scored both Sheffield United's goals in a 2-0 win over Luton Town. So that was a Premier League fixture last season. And as you say, Paul, Joe Whitworth, he's kept 4 clean sheets, and I think he's got the best stats in the league or something for player rankings or something like that I've seen. But he's doing really, really well down at Exeter. They love him to bits. And another goalkeeper that's doing well as well is Owen Goodman. He did concede the only goal of the match as AFC lost away to Salford City yesterday. Another player that's making a mark in League 2 is Danny Imray. He played the full 90 for Bromley as they drew 0-0 away at Fleetwood in a lunchtime kickoff in League 2. Luke Plange, he's on loan at HJK Helsinki. They lost 1-0. And David Ozo is still injured. And Tayo Adaramola is also missing due to an injury at Stockport. So that gives us a nice little roundup of our players out on loan. And I think, someone like Raksaki, that is that level just below us in the Championship. And are playing for a good side, a side that was relegated last year. They will fancy their chances about being involved in the top of the table. So I think that bodes really, really well for him for coming back to us at some point in the future for sure. Good. Okay, so we're sort of rattling through this today quite quickly, guys. Let's have a look at the fixtures that we've got coming up in the weeks ahead, Nigel, if we can. So we don't play again now, guys, for another 16 days. Paul, you're not going to Nottingham Forest, are you? You're away or something. Is that right?
Yeah, no, I generally miss one game a season when it's my birthday in October. I go and celebrate in Las Vegas for the week, so I always miss one game a season. I won't be at Forest this year, but that'll be the only one I miss, hopefully. But looking at those fixtures there, I will come on to probably predictions. We need at least 7 points from those games because, as we said earlier, after this little run, we're in December, and then it's sort of getting crunch time because the games just roll through December and you don't want to be starting to cut adrift. So it's these are important games coming up, and we all saw what Tottenham did today. We can see if you actually go at them, they will fold like a pack of cards, which our friends down the road did to them today. So we've got to be more adventurous, I think, more attack minded. We need to start picking up points. We're not playing terribly as we keep saying, but that doesn't count for much if you're not getting the results. So we need to start chalking some points up.
Jim, you were saying earlier there's no easy games in the Premier League. You look at those fixtures. Easy games for you there? Any of them?
Well, last year I would have said probably all of them. You look at that. I mean, being realistic, you look at Nottingham Forest and Wolves, possibly Fulham, where you pick up decent points. Spurs. Well, after their capitulation today, you got to feel a bit more confident about playing them. So, I mean, how many points would you pick out of that? If we got half a dozen points, we'd probably say great. But was like 6 games there, 5 league games?
No, 5 league games. So forget the Villa Cup fixtures.
So 15 points.
15 points available.
So we need 20 points before Christmas, don't we? That's the thing, isn't it? Whatever way you look at it, and Christmas is starting to get a bit closer than you think. So, but there's no easy game, is there? You look at all them games.
I think Nottingham Forest especially are doing really well at the moment. They got a good draw again today away from home, but then they lost to Fulham the previous week at the City Ground. So, they're a team that maybe blow a bit hot and cold. You'd think player for player would give Forest a good game, and we fancy our chances against them. Similarly with Wolves. Wolves seem to be conceding goals for fun at the moment. Lost 5-3 yesterday away at Brentford. I've got a Wolves mate who messaged me and said that we were absolutely awful. And in the next breath he said you're definitely penalty nailed on. Wolves and Forest away. As far as away fixtures are concerned, they're two you would fancy us to get something out of. Fulham at home is a fixture you'd normally be targeting, but they're decent. We know what Anderson could do. We know what they've got attacking fullbacks. They've got class throughout their team. So it's not going to be easy either. But apart from Villa away as a league game, they're all games we should be targeting points for sure. So we've got some predictions coming through. We've had some I've seen going through earlier. I'm not seeing them on my screen at the moment, but give us your predictions from those 15 points available in the chat. See what you think. But let's come to Paul Giff first. How many points are we getting in those 5 games?
Well, apparently, as I say, Wolves have won only once since February, which I was quite amazed to hear. And Gary O'Neill's coming under a bit of sticks. I don't know. I think their next game's Man City as well. I think I heard someone say so. It's not going to get any easier for them. But like you say, I think we need to be beating Fulham at home. We need to be winning at Wolves. I think a point at Forest would be good. And so out of those 5, I'd probably say 7 points as minimum and probably what we'll get possibly against Spurs. We may get, well, Spurs, as we said, looks easier today, but they also look pretty hot up front. And it's, I can't see us outscoring them. So I'm going to go for 7 points out of those 5 and progressing in the cup as well, because I think Villa will unofficially throw it for us kindly.
Okay, we'll come to that in a sec then. All right. So Fergus, your thoughts on the predictions for those 5 league games?
I'm probably with Paul there. I'd say 7. I mean, honestly, we should be looking to win all our home games, really, shouldn't we? I know it's Spurs, but I'm sure yesterday before kickoff we were confident we could beat a Liverpool. I don't see any reason why we couldn't beat Spurs. Point away at Forest, beat Fulham, and away win at Wolves. We do quite well away at Wolves.
So you've gone 10 points then.
No, but I'm going to go 7 because that's.
You just said.
No, I just think I know, but I just think with all the injuries we've got, at the moment, if we'd had a fully fit squad, but
no, listen, I'm not taking that.
We'll
from you. You took your one to 10 points, Jim. What about you?
Okay.
Well, not my greatest thing. We'll definitely get 6 points. And I'd like us to get 9 or 7 or 8.
Well, you're going to be super pessimistic then. We'll give you 6. 7 is a very popular shout. Danny Hudders, 2 points. Danny, no, Danny, definitely not. I think we'll go 8 points. I'll go 2 draws, 2 wins. Probably lose at Villa in the league. But like you, Paul, I fancy us in the Carabao. I think Villa will have their mind on other things. They'll have their mind on the Champions League and the Premier League, and they won't be too worried about this competition. I know they're at home, and they've got a decent second string as well. The boy who comes off the bench and scores every week, he'll probably get a game, won't he? But I see them making changes, and I see us playing our first 11, and so I think that'll be through to the last 8. Phil Adams says, "Hi Ian, how did your young friend enjoy her first game?" That young friend was my eldest granddaughter, Phil. She did enjoy it. I took my 12-year-old Melody to her first game yesterday. And Paul and Fergus met her. She was a bit nonplussed, wasn't she? She didn't really know what to think or say, but I think she enjoyed it. Thanks for asking, Phil. That's very kind of you. Good. Okay. Well, look, I think we're nearly there, guys. Anything else that you want? Let's finish on a positive, because I like finishing on a positive on this show. Paul Gear, a positive comment from you to go forward with, please.
The results can't get much worse. I mean, that's a positive. It's always better to. I wasn't too convinced how we played yesterday. As I say, I wasn't expecting much from the game, but it's better to finish strong than the other way round. And I think like Everton last week, we were all particularly disappointed because we started okay and got the lead, and had a terrible one. Now, we did finish the game strongly yesterday, and as I say, if we can do that to teams like Liverpool, then hopefully we can do it to the lesser teams in this division. It's just we need to get our shooting boots back on. We can't afford to miss the chances we're creating at the moment. We're going to need a lucky 1-0 win just with a fluky goal or something to get us up and running. And at the moment, as I say, we're not getting enough men forward. I think we need to get Walton fit. I think once he gets back fit, that will help. But at the moment, we're too static, we're too slow, and we're not getting. You watch Brighton this afternoon. They have every time they go forward, they got 5-6 players in the box. Our front three is a bit disconnected, and our midfield is sat probably because they're cautious at the moment because of the results. So we need to get the juices flowing again, get the point. And I'm not panicking just yet, I must admit. But as we said, it's a results business, and there will come a time. We said last week, December's sort of crunch time in that if you're going to start looking at any changes, you need to do it before the transfer window. So hopefully we can get some good points in November and getting it into a bit of a roll. Because we said there's 6-7 games in December, and there's games against teams that we would normally think we should get points against. So we need to be in a confident vein and on a bit of a roll there. So yeah, as I say, we got to take on the last 20 minutes performance going forward rather than the first 70 minutes, and yeah, hopefully things will turn.
Okay, last 20 minutes instead of first 70 minutes. Fergus, would you change anything going forward? Back 4 instead of back 5 with the personnel we got, or what do you think?
Depends on injuries. I actually think we didn't look too bad for the back yesterday. But going forward, positive. Look, 2 wins. We win the next 2 games. We'll be 10th in the table. We'll be looking up, not down. I think you've got to remember we played Chelsea, Man United and Liverpool. And I know people will say, well, you played Brentford, Leicester and West Ham. But, 2 of those games we should have really won. It was just a lack of concentration and poor officiating. I think, Glasner's interview after the game, he was very positive. He saw a lot of positives out of the game, second half. He's got something to work with over the next 2 weeks. I do think the club should send those first team players on holiday for a week and just let them relax and and then maybe bring them back for 1 week's training before the Forest game because they do look tired, lethargic. But yeah, 2 wins and we're back up mid-table where we belong.
Would you give the players a week off, Jim?
No way. No way. No, you can't be tired after 7 games, can you? Let's face it. I can understand maybe Mateta and Gay, who probably missed pre-season because they've been away. Even I suppose Walton, they've been away for quite a long time, and when they come back later than everybody else. So there's probably Munoz and Lerma as well. All them international players they've not had a proper pre-season. So, and you're still catching up all the time. But positives would be to actually perform for two halves rather than one half. You know, a good half against Everton, then a crap half against Everton, crap half against Manchester United, then a good half against Manchester United. If we can convert that into more consistent over 90 minutes, and I think just one win. If we beat Nottingham Forest, the whole thing will change and people will get a bit more confidence. So, and I think that's a really important game coming up because it's a game we can win if we play to our potential. And it's like anything, the only way to win a game is score a goal. And at the moment, that's our Achilles heel. We're not putting the ball in the back of the net with chances that we've had. So hopefully that'll improve as well.
Absolutely. And Glasner said on more than one occasion, when you concede two, it makes it ever so difficult to win a football match in this league because you then got to score three. Not rocket science, but he's right, of course. And I like the way he was so positive in his post-match yesterday. I suppose he has to be in some ways. I certainly think it's far too early to call for any kind of review of the manager, if you like. But I suppose, if the next 5-6 games don't go well and you're into December and you're still winless, you then start asking some questions. But we also said on this show, I think you said it last week, Paul, that if you are thinking about changing your manager, you need to have a better alternative lined up. You can't just get rid of someone because you need someone to manage the club. And listen, I think without the success of last season, we'd be a little bit more dismissive of him, maybe, given the way we started this year. But we know he can do it. And I don't think it's just the difference of missing Michael Elise. Paul?
No, he's got credit in the bank from last year, and we can see if he has the tools, he can get a tune out of them, which is what we're hoping he'll do again. I mean, as I remember saying that last week about needing an alternative, and then I remember saying something different when we always wanted to get rid of Roy, and that if things get so bad and you really can't see any way out, then you do have to make a change regardless. But I don't think we're anywhere near that at this point. I think, as you say, he's shown he can do it if we get a fair rub of the green. So yeah, I'm certainly not thinking about anything like that at this point. But as you say, if you get to Christmas and you're cut adrift and in the bottom three, that's when clubs have to act.
Absolutely. And I'm not even going to read some of the names that are being put through in the chat there. Although Lindsay says our friend who managed England would be approached if Oliver Glasner does go. I think on that note, I think we'll leave it. Thank you very much for joining us, Paul, Fergus and Jim, once again. We'll be back on a strange day for us, but it's the 24 hours after the Nottingham Forest away fixture, which is, of course, the Monday night Sky offering in a fortnight when the Premier League returns from match week 8. We're on Monday night away at Forest. If you're going to Forest, safe travels to you. Enjoy Hooters. And we'll be back with Nick Philpott in the chair on Tuesday, the 22nd of October. Good night, everyone. Good night.
Good night.
Evening, everyone.
Good night.